Today I'm going to give you 5 things men are looking for in a wife. So if you're not married but you're looking to be a wife, these are things that men are looking for. And when I say men, I mean competent men, not just any old man who is about nothing, but these are men that you most likely want to be with, and you want them to propose to you. You want to be married to these type of men. So I'm going to give you 5 things that you need to know to be a woman who gets proposed to, and follow through, of course, all the way up to ideal. All right. So my name is Danielle DeVita. I am a relationship and femininity coach. I've been married for 13 years. My goal is to help both men and women be in relationships that's best for them. So let's talk about these 5 things. The first thing I would say is respectful women. Men want respectful women. A lot of times women have all these excuses of why a particular man does not deserve their respect. So again, I am talking about a man who is worthy of your respect. This is a man who is competent. This is a man who is a doer, a fixer. So he is very resourceful. He knows how to go out and get a job and maintain not just his standard of living, but a standard of living that's comfortable for you. And again, I don't like to get to in details about how much this person makes, because it all depends on where in the world this man is, because what income salary for one person may be needed, it may be different for another, depending on what part of the world, what metro city or country area that they're living in, and what field they're in. But you want a man who is making sure that both you and your family are comfortable, that assuming you guys get married, he's able to provide for the whole family, not just for himself. So in saying that, this is a man who knows how to protect, who knows how to provide for you, not just financially provide, but he can provide some type of emotional security for you. And again, protection, which is physical security. So if this man is doing this for you, he's gonna want respect. He wants your respect. And a lot of times women have a hard time respecting men. Even though you say you love him, sometimes it's the things that we say, how we react, and what we do to show a sign of disrespect. You'll have to, when you're in the dating phase, you'll have to ask that man what is considered disrespect for him, because disrespect could be how your tone, how you're saying things. It could be your level of voice, how high are you raising your voice, right? It could be anything as far as you talking over him, you walking away from him, you're ignoring him, you are dismissing him and the things that he has to say. So any of these things could be disrespect, and we're talking about true disrespect, not someone who is just saying that because it sounds good to say, on the internet, but a man who truly feels disrespected by how you're speaking to him. And I like to say that a form of, respect for men is like you showing that you love him. And it's the same way that we like to feel loved and validated by our men. They love respect in that same way. So a way to say that you love a man is to show full respect to him. Right? And respect for all that he does. So respect really means, if you look in the dictionary term, a form of admiration for a person and their abilities or in what they bring to the table, their values. So you don't have to, for anyone, you don't have to necessarily like them as a person to respect them and what they have to offer, what, how they either contributed to society or to a job or something like that. But now, if you're with someone in a relationship, you should respect them and like them, because why are you with someone that you don't like, right? So I think it's truly important that you respect someone. If you say, I can't respect this man because of X, Y, and Z, it does beg the question, why are you choosing this person to be with? Why are you still in a relationship with them? Because I'm telling you, the lack of respect is complete failure for a relationship. I often say in my videos, the lack of respect, the lack of trust, and if the presence of resentment is in a relationship, then the relationship is going to be tarnished. You can't be resenting people. Eventually, they're going to hold things over your head, or you're going to hold something over their head, and you're not going to want to be with them. If you don't trust them, you're not going to be in that relationship long. That relationship is going to grow sour because you're always either resenting them, or you don't trust that they're going to do the things that they say they're going to do, or trust that they're going to keep their vows, or whatever that level of trust is, or trust that they can even provide for you or protect you. All right. And then it goes to the same thing, respect, because a lot of these things go hand in hand. It's hard to respect someone that you don't trust or that you resent. right? So you definitely want to take a look to see, why don't I respect this person? And that should be the key to why are you in a relationship with them, and then look into the next relationship you're in, how to look for some of these cues and clues of what to look for next to make sure you're not in that same type of relationship. A lot of people are in a relationship with different people, but it seems like a repeat situation because you are in that relationship with the same behavior. You've overlooked a certain behavior or characteristic or a flaw in that person's personality or how they view life or a standard that they have, and you're having this repeat cycle. So you want to make sure that you are in a relationship with someone who you can respect. And if you can't respect what they're doing now, not, oh, I can respect them if and when they do this, but today, at this point, why can't you respect them? And if you feel that you can't, it could be a conversation. If it's something like an easy fit, if it's that this person is not, being consistent in what they say they're going to do, that needs to be a conversation. Hey, I value people who, men who keep their word. And it's hard to respect someone who doesn't keep their word, and then go from there. I respect men who, own up to their responsibility and take care of their children and take care of their family and do this and X, Y, and Z. So these are things you can have conversation about. If you feel like this conversation is something that you've had time and time, move on. I've done plenty of videos on crossroads, so we're not going to go down that lane, but pretty much if you're at a fork in the road and you are in an area of tolerance, you're past patience, it's time to move on. So again, don't be in a relationship with someone that you don't respect. And again, this is what men are looking for. So if you want to be a wife, be respectful. Even if you feel that this person has done something at the moment that you didn't like, still be respectful, because this is what men look for in a wife. All right. So the second thing men look for in a wife is femininity. Men who are competent, these are likely alpha males. These are likely masculine men who are, embracing their masculinity, which means if they're embracing their masculinity, they are definitely looking for a woman who is resting in her femininity. And to rest in your femininity requires, a lot of effort. Because society, especially depending on the job you have, the environment that you in, a lot of times, especially the career we have, it pushes us away from resting in our femininity, because a lot of times resting in your femininity is rooted in traditional values. And this day and age, a lot of us we're trying to move far from being traditional. And again, I'm not saying the traditional way of life is feeling inferior to a man. What I'm saying, as far as being traditional, understanding that there is a hierarchy of leadership, but you are not diminished in your value. Your function is different, but your value is still as equal to that man. And it makes it easy for you to respect a man like that. And it's easy for you to receive all the love that he has for you, right? The thing about femininity is a lot of times women think that it makes them weak, but it's actually strong to be able to take care of things that you need to take care of, manage the house, manage the children, manage, things that are going on, and still being feminine. So again, I'm not saying be weak. What I am saying is to embrace that you are a woman. You don't have to compete with this man. He's a man and he's different, and respect that. And you're different. You are made differently. You are not just, on the outside features, but how our internal organs are made and how we even view and think about life. Our brain is wired differently. Understanding and respecting that we are different, that we are women, and we have a different level of attribute and influence on Mother Nature, on life, on a relationship, on a man, how we carry children, how we deal with children, how we deal with situations is a beautiful thing. Rest in it. Love it. Go off of your, those moments where you want to relax, that emotional side of you. And there's nothing wrong with that. And again, when I say go off of your emotions, not negative emotions, positive emotions. And just because as we as women are feeling type of people, right? And it's okay to go off your intuition and your feeling. A lot of times we are trying so hard to be like, no, I don't want to do all that lovey-dovey feeling stuff. I just want to be logical. There's nothing wrong with being logical, but there's nothing wrong with using our emotions. That's what we were built for. We are feeling type of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of times we try to not embrace feelings and our emotions, because we have and express our feelings and emotions differently than men. That's okay. I think society is trying to toughen up women in this world like we're men. We're not, and it's okay, right? So understanding that you can be feminine, not just on outward appearance by wearing dresses, but you can be feminine in how you act, which means you need to be more ladylike. So when men think of femininity, they may not be able to express in terms of how it is, but essentially for most men, they would say, think of a feminine woman as a woman who's ladylike in her words, which means how she's speaking, not cursing, and how eloquent and soft and graceful she's speaking, and not just, crude and harsh and things like that. And then how she walks, right? So you want to make sure that how you touch and walk and act is all ladylike and soft, right? And again, I'm not saying be all prissy in each and every moment and you can't do sports and things like that. I'm just saying learn to embrace those things about you, right? Men who are masculine are not going to want a woman who is having those same traits. Understand that. If you want a man if you feel like you're more masculine as a woman and you want to be with a feminine man, by all means. But women who want to be married to a masculine man, that man wants a feminine, graceful, ladylike woman. So if you don't like the word feminine, be ladylike. That's what men want. They want respectful women. They want women who are ladylike. The third thing I would say is men want women who are peaceful. A lot of times this hurts a lot of women, because a lot of women think that they are peaceful, but a lot of women are disagreeable. As a woman, I find other women to be disagreeable at times, not just in coaching. All right. I've coached, lots of people, and sometimes they're disagreeable. They think that they have it all together and they don't. But you're sitting here for coaching. You're sitting here for therapy. And those who are not sitting there, they think they have it all together, but they go home and cry at night of how everything that they want, they have, is in shambles. I'm telling you, there are a lot of women who will pretend on social media that they have it together and they don't. Understand, everyone doesn't have it together 100% of the time. But the best way to get where you want to be is acknowledging it and growing and getting better. But a lot of times women are afraid of change, right? They're afraid of other people calling them out on their change. There's a difference between you changing and you growing and maturing. So a lot of times women say when they're in their feminine journey, people like to say, oh, you're different, you've changed. No, you did not change. You grew, you matured. See, a 3-year-old who is 13, when their friend who saw them and when they went to daycare with them and they see them at 13, they're not going to say, oh, you changed. You're all tall now. You're 13. No, you grew up. You matured. Your body literally matured from a 3-year-old to a 13-year-old. So you matured. You grew. You didn't change per se. Changing is when someone's whole idea is they change in a pretentious way. A lot of times when people say, oh, you're different now. And a lot of times when people say that, oh, you're different because you have money now, or you're different because you're doing this now, you're different. So a lot of times it comes with the idea of that you're being pretentious because you think that you should be like this because of what you have now or what's going on in your life now. When the core of you is the same, but you're making wiser decisions and you're growing through that wisdom and through experience, and your mindset is changing through growth, that's not change, that's growth and maturity. So there's a difference. And when I say change, all of it is a form of change, but in the way people are saying it, and oh, you've changed, like in a pretentious way, you're only acting a certain way because of where you are now in life, that's not the same as growing and maturing. And there's nothing wrong with growing and maturing. And a lot of times people don't like the idea of people saying, oh, you've grown. It's okay to grow. And so understanding that when you are more soft or compromising and more agreeable, that's okay. If you're doing that for the sake of peace, that's fine. And again, we're not talking about compromising on your beliefs and your standards, things like that. You stand for what you believe in, right? If you don't stand for something, you're gonna fall for anything. So I'm not saying you don't stand firm on your standards and things like that. But what I'm saying is sometimes you got to be flexible. You have to be flexible and adaptable to certain situations. A lot of times people don't like that type of change where now it's not all about you, it's about the other partner. How does it make them feel? Okay, so you don't like going to the movies, or you don't like going to games and sports, but your man does sometimes. It's okay to be flexible. So if someone says, oh, you changed, or now you're trying to go to basketball games because he does basketball. No, you're being flexible, because when you want to go to this concert or this thing, you want him to be flexible and do the same thing. So a lot of times you got to be more peaceful, you have to be compromising. It's not always about you, and the person that you're with is not going to always like the things you like, do the things you do, eat the things you eat, like the music you like. So it's okay to do that, and you don't have to always be disagreeable. You don't have to always make a big thing about things that are trivial. So understanding and picking your battles is part of being peaceful. Understanding that even when you don't like this person and when they're doing wrong, when they're doing this, because it's not just about being peaceful with him, it's about being peaceful with others. And this is when other people are going to notice you've changed, because you're not just doing it with him. You start changing and growing and maturing in other forms of your relationship. You're different at work. You've matured at work. So now you can't go out and party. So your girls like to say you changed when you've matured, because now you're doing what you're going to bed at night instead of going up partying. You are, handling situations different with people at work or other people outside of your immediate family. They're going to say, well, things are different with you. Yes, I've matured, I've grown, so I'm not doing these things anymore. And it's okay. So when you're on your feminine journey, people are going to say you've changed. People are going to say, oh, so you don't say much now. Okay. So, he's got you this and he's got you that. When no, you're just being peaceful. They're used to you popping off at the mouth, and now you've learned to control your mouth and your actions. And that's not change. That's growth, ladies. That's part of being ladylike, So, and the reason why I say this, because a lot of times women say, well, I am just trying to keep it real. And then when they finally keep it real, they feel like it's not them. No, you're just used to popping off at the mouth. You're used to saying how you feel in a way that had no filter. And now you are holding back, because what people say back in the day, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. So we're at this point now where you're making modifications and filters and doing things with tact, right? You're making modifications to how you behave, how you say things, and people are saying that's change when it's really growth. All right. So the last thing that I would say that a lot of men like is reciprocity. A lot of men say, well, I dish out all this money, I take her here, take her there, but it's like she's receiving. And there's nothing wrong with being a receiver. There's nothing wrong with receiving things, but you want to be someone who likes to give back and pour into that man as well. There's a lot of women that will go from restaurant to restaurant and restaurant and restaurant, and they don't mind this man cashing in all this money, but not one time does she say, you know what? Save your money, or I got you today, or I'm going to cook a nice meal for you, or you know what, let me give you a shoulder rub since I'm always asking for one. Let me do this for you. And a lot of times women are putting their, giving them money and gifts and cards. Like, you don't need to give them phones and this and that. This is a man. Should be able to provide the necessities of those things. But I'm saying, when I say give back, I don't mean necessarily pour money into him in the form of gifts in clothes and things like that, but pour into him as showing how you care and love for him. The same way he, created date night. Why don't you, Nanette, come up with a date night for him? Why don't you come up with, okay, well, let's do this. And you cater to him in that way, instead of always being on the receiving ends of dinners and lavish things and gifts and massages. Why don't you take the time to do that and allow him to not spend his money, but just to sit there, relax while you take care of planning that date or planning all of these things, and not have him come out the pocket. And then again, I'm saying for dating, and I say even when you're married, sometimes covering the date is just enough. Fixing a meal for him, a wonderful meal for him, is just enough. Taking him somewhere for a nice, surprise dinner or whatever, the same way men would do for you. So whatever it is that he does for you, just reciprocity. A lot of men say they don't get that reciprocity. Women are just receiving and they're pouring out and they don't feel like they're getting something in return. And when I say give something in return, I don't mean give your body. Give actually something to show that you really care for this person. You can give, these days women are just giving their bodies out like to anyone. And so you don't want to do that. You don't want your body to be the actual form of your reciprocity, but the actual act of you doing something the same way he was doing for you. If him giving you some isn't some type of reciprocity for you, then don't make that about him. That's the easy way out. Actually take the time to give him a gift and or to take him out on a date, right? That's the lazy way if you're just saying, okay, well, here, you get some. No. So I think it's an issue for a lot of women. They don't know how to show reciprocity, and you equate giving your body as something that's supposed to be equivalent to a date. They're not the same. They're not the measure of that. So try that one time. You say, you know what, this date is on me. How about we don't go out at all? How about I cook you dinner? How about we do this? So plan a date for him instead of always being on the receiving end of gifts and dates and things like that. If you consistently, work on these things throughout the relationship, especially if he's a good man, he's going to see wife qualities in you. He's going to be like, wow, she's respectful, she's feminine, she's peaceful, and she shows reciprocity. I'll even give you a bonus one. A man likes a woman who is loyal and that can trust him. Because I think that a lot of times people think that, oh, well, I'm loyal. I haven't cheated on him, so I'm loyal. But you want to be loyal to and trust in his abilities to do. Because if you don't do that, you're least likely, right? It's very highly unlikely that you're going to respect this person. If you don't trust that they can get things done, you're probably going to be like, oh, he's not going to do it. I can't depend on him to do this. So it's less likely that you're going to show respect for him. So men want women who can trust in that guy and that he can do things and he can show up for her. Of course, you would need to be cognizant in making sure that this man is consistent in keeping his word, consistent in doing the things that he says he's going to do, following through and doing those things, because that's how you get loyalty, men, by being consistent. Women would then be loyal to those who are dependable and consistent. So definitely as a man, you'll need to be consistent to get that from a woman. But women, you don't want to leave this guy because right now he's not doing this or financially that you want and then bounce to the next guy. So a lot of women believe in this hypergamy, and hypergamy is, yes, you want a man who is in a higher social class or doing, better, right? But you don't want to bounce around. Oh, you know what? This guy, makes $60,000. Ooh, but this guy makes $100,000. So I'm going to leave the $60,000 guy to be with the $100,000. That's not loyal. Right? So you want to be consistent and loyal with the person that you're with. And men see that. Men see if you're just bouncing around just to get higher status or if you really care about him. So you want to be loyal to this guy. You want to make sure you trust in his abilities, because this makes it easier for you to be respectful. If you don't trust in him, if you're not going to be loyal to him, you might as well end the relationship, because, as much as I do, respect is not going to continue on throughout the relationship. So again, please make sure you have all these things, because this is what's going to set you apart from a lot of women. A lot of women are not respectful towards their man. A lot of women are not feminine these days. A lot of women are not peaceful. They're combative and they're disagreeable quite often. There's always some type of, they're quite the contrarian these days, right? And then there's a lot of women who are not showing reciprocity. And you want to make sure you do that. And of course, as I said earlier, you want to be loyal and be able to trust in your man and his abilities. That makes him feel adequate. All right. So these are things that I've learned in my relationship. And this is not something that you do until you get married. You continue it on while you're still married. So hopefully you can be these women today. So get on your feminine journey today and watch my videos, and also go to my website, mrsdanielledevita.com. I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe and help me get to 1,000 views. Take care.